liberation just have vastly different understandings of what liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews, your one-stop shop for in-depth commentary and discussion on this week's Star Wars comics and comics news. Comics, Chris. Comics.
Oh, we're doing a podcast now? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I just had to put a pause in Trials of the Jedi, everybody. I mean, that's how good this book is. I'm reading it with every spare moment, even before we record. So there you go.
During recording. Must be that good. I can't wait to start it. But there was a comic book that came out today and a bunch of news. So that's why we are back. We're going to take a break, but no, we're going to power on through. We'll take a break next week. But yeah, it is Wednesday, June 18th, 2025, and it's the 25th week of comics in 2025. As you can see, or as you saw, Chris so rudely ignoring me, is also the day after the book birthday of Trials of the Jedi. So it's High Republic finale week as well. I'm Matthew. That's Chris. How's it going, Chris?
I'm doing very well. Yeah, I'm doing very well. I guess in the future we'll just have to say, oh, we're having a break this week, and then we get dumped on a bunch of news. So
that's the secret. We'll take a break the week after San Diego Comic-Con or something.
Yeah.
and then the week after New York Comic-Con. No, I'm just kidding. There we go. We actually might try. I might try and go on location, sneak into Preview Night or something on the Wednesday. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Wednesday, July 23rd. I'm all amped for San Diego Comic-Con. It's gonna be a fun time. If you're there, say hi, etc. And let's get some plugs. You can follow us on Blue Sky at Ion Cannon. Also, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, but mainly Blue Sky, Ion Cannon, and at the SWU. Oh, sorry. I had my coffee. I promise. I had a nap too. You can follow everything with Chris over at youtube.com/StarRaptor. That's StarRapter, and Twitter at StarRaptor, StarRapter. We are proudly part of the Star Wars Underworld podcast network. Here on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, we have super chats. We have YouTube memberships. We're grateful for any support you can provide. If you chat with us normally, in the normal course of things, we'll get to your comment as soon as we can. If you super chat us, we will interrupt ourselves mid-sentence just to get to your comment, because we're that grateful for any support you're willing to provide. Also, without further amiss, the Discord server, the link down below. Breathe with my diaphragm, Matthew. The Discord server, got conversations going on about Star Wars, largely about Star Wars these days, different releases, including some of the comics news. There's conversations about the comics news in there as well. And I believe they watched, they didn't quite get to watch Visions. They watched something. They were able to watch something else in the chat. I forget what it was, but they have these fun events. Oh yeah, they watched Spaceballs. That's right. In light of the trailer, which is hilarious. So yeah, they watched the original Spaceballs, and yeah, you can check that out in the link below. They usually have game nights and different things going on. So yeah, it's a fun place to hang out, fun place to chill. And to chat and share your thoughts, and Joel and at least Ben and maybe Ben are likely to chime in. I'll say that. So yeah, please do check that out. Last but not least, we are of course on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. If audio is more your speed, I will upload this right to Spotify and Apple Podcasts once we're done recording. So please do check that out. Look up Tractor Beam Comics Reviews, specifically Tractor Beam Comics Reviews, for the audio version of this podcast. All right, we can dive in. We have one book and two pretty epic news stories, so we'll dive into relatively epic, I'll say. I'll dive into the one book first off. It's Dr. Aphra, Chaos Agent number 1. It's written by Cherish Chen, art by Gabriel Guzman, colors by Mike Attier. I'm assuming that is the same Michael Attier that's usually in the Dark Horse books. Letters by VC's Joe Caramagna and cover by EJ Sue. Out from the shadow of Darth Vader, Dr. Aphra returns. An all-new ongoing series featuring the rogue archaeologist as she makes her way through the galaxy in the era of the New Republic. Aphra must team up with Luke Skywalker to track down a rare artifact. And what will she do when her tattoos no longer function? First thing that strikes me of this is she's still criming. You can take the criminal out of the empire, out of the underworld, but can't really take the underworld out of the criminal. She's on the run. She's caught. She escapes, and then or she's let out on parole basically, and she goes back to her criming and gets caught pretty darn easily. I gotta say. She probably tracked and followed and seen what she was going to do, so she can be beholden to this interesting New Republic office called, I guess, the Arrows. I think it's called. I forget what it's called. They're hunting down artifacts, and they want someone like Chelli who is able to cross some lines a little bit. But what's fascinating there is at the end of Alyssa Wong's run, Chelli is there with Sana, with Magna.
Yeah.
There's the sense of, okay, she's facing this new dawn, this new era in her character. And, Alyssa's run really brought her to this moment of being able to be part of something bigger than herself. But it turns out that the habit is harder to kick. It turns out that still is wrestling. Well, that she's wrestling. There's a conflict, and there's even this panel of the choice to what's the best deal for yourself or what's the greater good, and it highlights her like this close-up image, the greater good. And we don't know if she's trying to be sarcastic there or is a bit more genuine. We know she's helped Luke out on a number of occasions, and in this case Luke barges in and says, hey, I was the one who helped get you off, basically get you off of arrest and on parole. Now let's team up, and I'm gonna help nudge you in the right direction morally. And so they team up, and they find this artifact, track down using some interesting means. One thing I'll say is I had a huge laugh out loud moment with Barmfoy. Like Farm Boy, but Barmfoy.
I didn't notice that until after I read it the second time.
Yeah, Barmfoy is Aphra's now new alias for Luke. And it's like the gauntlet that Tay Surik has, I think, but not really. It's more like ascendant tech. It's kind of this, it's supposedly using electricity to use the Force. Anyway, it ends up putting Luke in a dire situation that Chelli has to save him from, and to see that kind of vulnerability on Luke's part, and Aphra coming through and sticking around and helping out. So this was a great start. Interestingly different style by Gabriel Guzman. She looks more
Caucasian.
Yeah, she looks more mixed is what I think he's going for. Yeah, because she is. She's there's no Asia in Star Wars, but she white father, Asian mother. And so this she looks more mixed than this, which I think maybe he's going to bring some interesting things out. But really Cherish and really nailing the character and really nailing that tension of I'm chaotic neutral, something's tugging me to be chaotic evil, but the galaxy needs me to be chaotic good. It needs me to be chaotic, but chaotic good. This chaos agent, but an agent of good. And so that it really still felt part and parcel of what Kieran Gillen and Alyssa Wong have done. There's another, I forget who wrote the other run in there, but it's off to a good start, entertaining start. The last thing I'll say, the thing we were wondering about was with these tattoos, and it would, and the fact that that New Republic agent disables them, just removes them. And that would have been far more impactful if we had seen those things in action far more often. We saw them. I remember maybe once vaguely, and even then I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
In this issue, we see her using it to hack into systems, but yeah, that's the one thing is maybe we'll get a bigger sense of how important they are in their absence, but and this isn't Cherish Chen's fault. This is this is with Kieran Gillen
Sure.
and also Wong not really using this part of her character all that much. I guess the Spark Eternal used them. I guess that's part of how they got in. So there's that. So it'll be interesting if any of that comes up. I mean, that's what, a year, 2 years before this, but year and a half, whatever, before this. But yeah, it's if that's the lack that she feels is something to do with the Spark Eternal or some connection, maybe it was holding her back. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, I've spoken a bunch. What did you think of Aphra Chaos Agent #1?
Yeah, definitely felt different. Definitely felt a lot different from Alyssa Wong's run. Sure. It's kind of like the lesbian that's going all over the place, the different love interests. There's no love interest at all in this. No mention of anybody. No mention of Black Chrysanthemum either. No mention of Just Lucky. It was just like, wow, this really feels like a true reboot of the character, right? In the sense of what she looks like with the artwork, as well as just the theme, the feel. It feels a lot like the Kieran Gillen run, right? Just like a simple character, not simple, but just like the archetype of just like this simple rogue archaeologist that gets intertwined with trouble. Very straightforward. Very like, if you're picking this up for the first time, this first issue will really give you a good idea of like, okay, this is the character that at her core, this is what she's like. Now, hey, that's not saying that like some other characters might not pop in eventually, but this definitely felt far flung. I laughed at other things. Actually, I thought you were going to be like talking about laughing at the whole idea that her payroll officer was in with the job.
I think I may have laughed at that a bit.
I laughed out loud at that. It's just like perfect. That was hilarious. This Rhodian character crying, just like, oh my gosh. It's like, oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. But yeah, I mean, as far as I loved seeing her dealing with the New Republic. Now I got the intentions that this takes place well into like past Battle of Jakku, didn't you? Because like, things like this is way past where the flagship is, because she's got litany of crimes and different things, and obviously Luke at this point in flagship is in the unknown regions, wherever he is dealing with the Nagai. There's no mention of that. It just feels like there's been a long amount of time that has gone by. So that's kind of what I picked on personally.
Yeah. It definitely feels like the New Republic is more established.
Yeah. And you get the iconography of looking through and seeing the different costumes of like the beige kind of uniforms of all the New Republic characters. I like seeing that uniformity that they now have. We don't see, the Imperial officers in olive drab gray. It's all no stormtroopers. It's just this is solely built in a New Republic. We don't see a lot of that. We're getting into this thing. Was that Sigourney Weaver's character by any chance, do you think?
I have no idea.
It looked a lot like her, like the director Gray.
Let's see.
This could be like a prequel to Mando and Grogu, perhaps. If it's not her, it looks like another familiar Rebel alum character. She looks like Ellen Ripley. I mean, right?
A
little bit.
Hard for me to tell.
Okay.
I can't really.
Well, I don't think it's her, because like we know from Mando and Grogu that she's an X-wing pilot commander, and obviously this is, but very, very close in resemblance, in my opinion. I had to do a double take when I first seen it. Like, oh man, that'd be cool. But they're never going to do that in a comic, because Filoni just has all his cards to his chest. He would never allow that to happen, unfortunately. But I digress. So anyway, like the idea of what I'm getting at here is we're expanding the New Republic in ways that we haven't seen yet for any piece of media, which is really neat. We're getting this other side of, this bit of lore about this sect sub-faction of the New Republic, this office of people called the Daggers that are
The
specifically
daggers, not the arrows.
like Indiana Jones, going through and getting these stolen artifacts that were left by the wayside by the Imperials, still doing the mopping up operation of trying to get these powerful artifacts, return them, and the fact that, hey, this perfectly aligns with Aphra and her motives. Like, she's going after these things already. Why not just do it legitimately and having the backing of the New Republic to do it for her? I like the idea of the New Republic Defense Force. Was that in the Battle of Jakku, or did they develop that after the Battle of Jakku?
I don't think we've heard. I don't recall that name ever.
Exactly. That's why I was like, oh, this is tantalizing. This is what I was hoping for the comics after Return of the Jedi. It's like, let's get into some of this new lore, these new terminology, the new inner workings of this, because we never got that in the original or in the sequel trilogy. I mean, so for me, it's like, all right, we're paving new territory. I mean, it's a fun story, but there's a lot of heavy lifting done by a lot of different like names and different things, exposition, I guess you could say. And it's neat getting to see the impact that Luke Skywalker ends up having on Aphra. You know, a lot of her friends left her and all, but she can kind of always depend on Luke, and he was the one to kind of step in and say, like, hey, you don't have to run off with this. Like you're my friend. And I kind of got to her, like, oh yeah, you know, maybe. And there she goes. Now she's working, and there's that cliffhanger at the end. We got to have some kind of big cliffhanger. Take it away to tattoos. Yeah, the tattoos always a cool aesthetic to Aphra, but I agree, like, we never got enough functionality of understanding like why they are so important. We've seen something with Magna Tolvin, making a connection with her and knowing that she loved her or something, some romantic moment like that. I believe it way in the past, but yeah, it's pretty cool that we're getting a story like this in a different time period, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, now that you mention it, you know, it definitely is looking ahead to the Mandoverse. I mean, those uniforms, the beige with the blue berets or whatever, blue hats. Yeah, it seems more built up. I don't think it's set that much later, but you know, thinking about, say, you know, the mobilization that from Chuck Wendig's Empire's End, maybe they do have some sort of standing organization around that we see in Ahsoka. We see Hera. We see to some extent Carson Teva a little bit, but also you know, we have a few that gloriously hilarious Mandalorian episode that nobody likes except for me, with Lizzo and Jack Black. The you know, that New Republic ship, Matt Lanter, his prison ship, all that. So and even the New Republic fleet that tries to go stop Hera and Ahsoka from yeeting out to Peridia, you know, on the space whales. Again, there's got to be some sort of organization. It is interesting given the resistance to it, because yes, Palpatine had a standing army, and that's what happened. Look what happened there. So you know, you have Senator Ziona saying, "Why are you doing it? What's going on?" But it definitely is building into that, and that's what I've been longing for. That's what I've been waiting for. Amazingly, from the perspective of someone who is probably going to be skeptical of that kind of government. You know, Chelli, you know, she was part of the Imperial government because she was useful. So she stayed alive because she was useful, or the other way around. She stayed useful to stay alive. But yeah, now it's out from the shadow of Darth Vader. And yeah, it's interesting. You know, now she's paired up with Vader's son, who is wearing black, and but is, you know, in this kind of electric, kind of vulnerable moment, he's not acting like Darth Vader there. But I wonder if there's going to be a link to his father. I mean, I think we started to explore that a little bit in Battle of Jakku, in a few ways. But yeah, it just that I've always enjoyed the Luke Chelli dynamic. I think.
Okay. Go back to the Screaming Citadel event.
Yeah, even going back there. There's the one where they go look for another artifact, and I think this crystal where they run into
The big monster thing.
Yeah, the big monster, but they run into kind of these echoes of I want to say it's Shakti and Luminar and Dooley.
And
yeah.
No, the blue Twi'lek.
Oh, Il Sakura.
Sakura.
Yeah. So I always liked that because it's like in the Battlefront 2 campaign where the Pilio mission where Luke says you have a choice. You have a choice to just look out for number one and see how far that gets you, or you can find yourself in being part of a greater good, something that Rey will remind him of a few decades later. But here with Chelli, he's saying, I'm willing to take on the trouble, the hassle of corralling you if you're willing to help me get into these difficult situations, and maybe you'll start to see yourself as a good asset to the Republic and see us as an asset to you. And so, at that level, at least this kind of operational level, but hopefully, again, this trajectory, like Aphra on the way, that she's turning into this reluctant, chaotic hero. I find so.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Luke Skywalker being electrocuted and using that artifact kind of thing. Like, seemed kind of corny and kind of like way out there. And my mind immediately goes back to the Ascendant. Looking back at that, I really just don't like that concept. It's
really
cheap, and it just was like way off the walls, a little bit too much.
I see what you mean.
And I just don't want to see like Luke Skywalker's character like get cheapened by dealing with something ridiculous like this. You know what I mean? Like, go and look back. It's like, oh yeah, remember that time Luke Skywalker did this or did that? And it's like so comical to like see what writers have done with some of our big characters and realize like, how did that ever get through? Or like, it's just like sometimes like, especially somebody like Luke, he's sacred. Like, you can't do anything like that's like too out there with him, I would think, because it's just gonna leave a bad mark for some people. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I get what you mean in that. Well, the Screaming Citadel, right? It was probably this classic example of that's out there, and that's the thing with Chelli. She's great for pushing the boundaries of what Star Wars can do, what it can go into, and then Luke can't be the boundaries. He's got to be pulling it back to the center. He's at least at the center of the original trilogy story. So, wearing the t-shirt here. So maybe he'll function as more of a gravitational pull for her, right? Like he does in this issue, right? She could potentially take the artifact and go, because he's incapacitated. Like, she ties him up to release him.
Yeah.
But so she could have gone, but she's there and she stays to help him instead of going and just making a quick buck on this thing. So yeah, I get what you mean. I'm okay with it pushing the boundaries a little much. I mean, a little bit. Like, again, speaking of The Last Jedi, I love The Last Jedi. That pushed some boundaries in different ways, but yeah, they'll have to be careful with how much hijinks he gets up to. So it works. All right. Do you have anything more to say about Aphra, Chaos Agent number 1, or before we can move on?
Not really. Do you?
No, I think we move on to a pair of news stories. First off, got some more sequel content. Before Han could give us the Chewie we're home moment from The Force Awakens, he had to actually find the ship. Find the home itself. Games Radar's Newsroom, I should say, broke the news of Han Solo Hunt for the Falcon 5-issue run from Marvel beginning September 3rd. Written by Rodney Barnes, writing another original story, thankfully. Art by Ramon Rosanas, Marvel Star Wars staple. And here's the reveal cover. I didn't say who this is by. But some of the other covers are all right. I don't know how I feel about Han's look there. Anyway, here's the quote from the article. In the time before The Force Awakens, where is the Millennium Falcon? Less than satisfied with a settled life, Han Solo lands on the idea of reclaiming the Falcon and returning to a life of adventure. The problem is, he can't find it. And that's from the official description of Hunt for the Falcon #1. After enlisting a less than enthusiastic Chewbacca, the duo embarks on a quest to reclaim the greatest ship in the galaxy. Standing in their way are a laundry list of rogues who have staked a claim to the Falcon as well, including the villainous scoundrel who stole it, Duquesne, as mentioned in The Force Awakens. It's also going to, as you can see, involve Chewie, involve Lando, involve Leia, a whole bunch of other characters. Interesting question here about when this is set. You can kind of see they're a bit on the older side. Wikipedia did some sleuthing and some mathing about this. There's a whole long footnote in their article on this issue #1, and on the run itself. Basically, it takes place between the theft of the Falcon by Duquesne is told in the comic Flight of the Falcon Part 5, Grand Theft Falcon. That's IDW Adventures 2019. And that's after the events. This keeps going after the events of Crimson Corsair, which has to be in 31 ABY. So because of the math in terms of the relationship between the framing story and the original story. Anyway, the Clone Wars episode, whatever.
You lost me.
Okay, don't worry about that. All that to say is it has to take place between 31 and 34. So within 3 years before The Force Awakens.
Oh, okay.
Is what we're getting at here. That makes sense. The one thing I'll say is, okay, well, we know precisely when he finds it. It's the Chewie Rome moment. Can't be earlier than that, or that'll cheapen that moment. So interesting. I'll throw this to you. What do you think of this news for Shuran? You seemed excited by it. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I heard about this news at Star Wars Celebration Japan back 2 months ago, so it's cool that they acknowledged it already. I thought we would have to wait a little bit longer to figure out what this is. It's interesting because that's what I think about. Like, we had that entire IDW line of comics, Flight of the Falcon, where I thought we kind of already dealt with this in a way. But then the more I've seen about this, the more I realize this could be a very important story, because from what it sounds like in the article, this is how Chewie and Han get back together. This is us going to be seeing Han and Lando together in old age. This is going to be good hopefully foundational footnotes in Star Wars history. This is when Han went back to Kashyyyk to get Chewie, to get the Falcon, and then they met up with it's going to be great to be able to see these characters interacting with one another again. And who's doing this? Rodney Barnes or Steven?
This is Rodney Barnes, who did
good. I'm happy that this guy is finally off of doing adaptation.
Well, he did Inquisitors too.
Yeah.
But most of his adaptations. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so no, it excites me. I'm kind of wondering, why did we wait this long to get this story? This should have been a story that came out right after The Force Awakens came out, or maybe even before The Force Awakens came out, which would be great. But hey, you see that trailer?
Yeah.
Now we're gonna see where the Falcon went or something. So it's always why are we getting these stories now? This is just a random. I feel like that's what we're in right now with Star Wars. Now that the High Republic is over, there's no. It basically call it over because the book's out. There is no big focal point for publishing. So we're gonna get these kind of scattershot stories from all over the place. We got a Bad Batch novel coming out in 2 months. We got a High Republic tie-in novel coming out a week before that. We got a post T-Roche book coming out in October. We have a bunch of random stuff just all over the timeline, which isn't a bad thing, but it's kind of I guess this is the time where Lucasfilm is taking notes from writers and be hey, what do you want to write about? Oh, now's the time. We got nothing else going on. Let's just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, kind of thing.
I do think though that there is a rise of sequel era stuff, right? Legacy of Vader, Han Solo, like you mentioned there's why am I thinking there's another sequel thing coming out? The Rise of Skywalker
Poe Dameron, the
adaptation,
Poe Dameron miniseries.
Poe Dameron comic. So there is that. I think it's also a time where they're easing folks back into this storytelling that was super new, super kind of in our face, and had a lot of conflict in the fandom around it, especially Last Jedi. But the kind of the memories of it are starting to be, a bit less. Over time, think we kind of forget we fought about these things. Like people forget we fought about the prequels. I think people are starting to at least feel the emotional memory is a bit more distant, and so coming back to these stories, this era, maybe it's time to bring it back into the spotlight. I was messaging Joel and saying he's eating well as a sequelist, the resident sequelist. So I do see what you mean in that it is probably also a good open season just for stories that authors want to write. But I think, this could be that maybe Rodney had this pitch 5, 6, 7 years ago and said no, and the story group said no, not yet.
Yeah.
But and then now it's time, and a lot of that coming out. I wonder if Charles had this pitch for Legacy of Vader.
Oh,
maybe
that's a good point. I'm reading also it's Avalanche of High Republic. I was reading Star Wars Insider.
Yeah.
What issue is this? 232, which is out actually not technically out for like another week or something.
Yeah.
I get it in the mail, so I get it like a week early usually. There's a nice 2-page or 4-page story in a High Republic Legacy, and Mike Seglain literally said he pitched this in 2014, High Republic. Yeah, he pitched it before The Force Awakens was even out, like as like Lucasfilm changed. Like he's like, okay, now's the time. And then they didn't let him really start with it until like The Rise of Skywalker was out, like 2019 was when they like actually got working on this thing. So that shows you like the gestation period or like how Lucasfilm sits on these stories. And you might be actually correct. Like somebody might have had this story right after The Force Awakens and was like, oh, now's not the time. We're focusing on the High Republic. Let's not like divide too much of what people want to read. And well, now's the time. So there you go. And carry into the next story as well with the other series we're going to talk about.
And we'll get to that in a bit. I do want to comment on that note though. I mean, so on the story itself, in The Force Awakens, we see Han and Leia separated because Han was restless and just couldn't sit with this domestic life, family life, being the trophy husband on Tendril and Hosnian Prime or wherever, like Last Shot by Daniel Halsey Older, we see him being a dad and starting to be a dad and figuring all that out, and being the husband of one of the most important senators and trying to figure that out. And we know he did, even the Han Solo comic, we know he did his best, but there's a story of when did he end up saying, I can't do this anymore. I've got to go take action. I've got to go find my Falcon. Got to go basically have a midlife crisis. This might be what this is.
Oh.
And go get the crew together, get the old crew together. And, it's a bit of a bittersweet story. It's kind of sad. I mean, we were sad, of course, to see, Han and Leia are separated at this point. This might be that. I mean, that might show that.
Well, possibly. Do the math. Bloodline, are they separated as 5 years prior?
No, they aren't.
They aren't. So something happened. Something happened in that 5-year gap there.
So and this is within that. So, losing Ben definitely didn't help. Definitely caused some issues. But again, that part of what like kicked this character into gear, saying gotta get back out there and take action for the galaxy. smuggling. We know he, and so the beginning of the movie, he's hauling Rathtars with Chewie in this massive freighter thing that the Falcon just fits into the cargo bay. And then we get the nostalgia hit. Chewie, we're home. And so I can see. I mean, Rodney Mart's, he's up there in age. He's of riper years, which is great. I'm grateful for his experience. What my point being, he's gonna give us an authentic story to that age, and so and we obviously have to pay more attention to it's another realm of diversity of folks who are older, and give us those stories. I actually should look up how old is Rodney Barnes before I make a comment. I mean, he's let's see Wikipedia. This is Wikipedia. It doesn't say, but I mean, maybe he isn't that old, but he's had a pretty storied career so far, both on screen and on in comics and other things. So I can't find how old he is. That's weird. You think that would be public information. Anyway, point being, let's get that story. It's going to have this exciting sheen to it, but behind that might be a real human kind of, like the midlife crisis going for it. So that's this one. Any last thoughts before we move on to the last story?
I'm ready to talk about the next one.
All right. So let's get that out of the way. Let's fire up the jetpack. Come on. This is gonna be exciting. Boba Fett, Black, White, and Red. StarWars.com announces this book, this 4-issue run from Marvel. Issue number 1 drops September 17th. That's a reminder. Issue number 1 of Han Solo, Falcon, September 3rd. This one, September 17th. And this is written by Benjamin Percy, who wrote Maul, Black, White, and Red number 1. Art by Chris Allen. The direct edition cover here by Alex Maleev. And there's some variants, which I'll bring up again. Like the other Black, White, and Reds, and maybe the Black, White, and Blood runs, I think. So it's an anthology. So Benjamin Percy's writing issue number 1, but there'll be other authors for the other 3 issues. Here's a quote from Percy in Star Wars Boba Fett, Black, White, and Red, issue number 1. Boba Fett finds himself tangling with Imperials and rogues. Percy says, I set him up with a Merc mission that goes wrong in 100 different ways, as is caught between the demands of the Empire and a rogue faction of the Rebellion, which is interesting. Here's the Leinil Francis Yu cover. This is a really cool variant. Another quote, we're setting a major sequence in a lava system. This is a great example that Fett has to navigate to hunt down the best thief in the galaxy. Right, I'm so lucky to join forces with artist Chris Allen, who brings his eye for dynamic action, wild layouts, and granular detail to this twisty, turny story that will keep you guessing until the end. You're the Underworld guy. You're the Bounty Hunters guy. You're the Fett family guy. What'd you think of this news?
Yeah, I see this. That's enough. We gotta do the show. We gotta talk about this. I mean, we got a new Dr. Aphra comic. We got a new Falcon comic. We got a new Boba. That's like, come on here. This is like New York Comic Con levels of reveals in a matter of like 3 days time, right? It's a crazy week. I gotta look into it. Like September, there must be a lot of other comics ending. Like, what's going on? Like, why does sudden influx of new comics, right? Or are they just adding on? Maybe they're just adding on. But talking about this comic specifically, I mean, this makes so much sense when you're looking at like this brand specifically of the Black, White, and Red. It usually has to do with ultra violence. We already got Vader. We already got Darth Maul. Like, what's the next like level of like a fan fiction character? Right. You see this on Facebook groups all the time. Like, it's probably a uncountable YouTube AI videos and whatnot of like Boba Fett just going around like offing people, just killing them, saying awesome one-liners. Like, Boba Fett is that guy. This is that guy that people want a rated R Star Wars movie, it's to have Boba Fett in it.
Mhm.
They want to see Boba Fett just like they did in the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, just killing all those stormtroopers like nothing. I think of that when I think of this, and it just all the numerous legends appearances of Boba Fett, and just badass nature of him. So
Mhm.
to see him kind of censored in a way where like everything is like black, white, and red, but we know from the past how violent these things can be.
Yeah.
This makes absolute perfect sense. And from what it seems like, this is right in the vein of his stories. Like, it's a very simple issues. Probably it's gonna be like, all right, he's got to do this mission to get a bounty. That's just his status quo. Like, he is a bounty hunter. We should be seeing him go on these dangerous missions and somehow coming out on top when all the odds are against him. Like, how does he have such a legendary affair and accolades? If so I feel like this, and these things are not really like, I guess they can be canon in a sense, but most of the time I look at them, it's just like one-shot stories that aren't ever referenced. But still, like, I think having these 4 stories will just continue to build the reputation in and outside of the universe with this character. So I'm looking forward to it.
He's just a simple man trying to make his way in the galaxy, just like his father. But the complexity is going to probably come from everything around him. With Maul, there's this through line of him training in more and more, harder and harder missions. This one might be similar, something like that. But because Percy wrote number 1 of the Maul one as well. But sorry, with this one, the demands of the Empire and a rogue faction of the rebellion. I mean, who's that? That's Saw Gerrera? Is that the Partisans? Is that what's going on there? Is there going to be some sort of notes from Andor then, or something? That's where the complexity I think is going to be. Because this is a twisty, turny story that'll keep us guessing. But yeah, you're right. The Boba Fett, he's this very simple, almost a simple character all the way through. Kind of this. I don't want to say a rock, very sharp, pointy rock that lands on people, but he's this rock in the middle of all this other things going on. So, just like, and that's what this coming. I don't know if you can see it on the stream. Let's see if I can. I'll remove that. Like Steve McNiven, if you can see that. I know it's kind of small.
Oh yeah, yep.
The War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha. He's going through, and he has to do this complex complex mission, but yeah, he keeps going. And this cover really, I mean, looks like it, because like you said, the constraints of this sort of brand, and even seeing the ship there just in white. I really love this one because it also brings it out. Oh yeah, there's red on his visor. It's supposed to be green, but it can't be green, but it can be red. And the blaster, and then the lava. That's the thing I always find most fascinating about. Not most fascinating. One of the things I'm always looking forward to more in this is the visual. Just what they do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the thing. Creativity, when you put some extreme constraints on creativity, can bring something out. And how do you tell the story? Creates a problem for especially the artist to solve. But and the storyteller, but definitely the artist is a storyteller. Creates this problem for the artist to solve. How do you make it clear what's going on? The Maul one was fantastic in that. I thought the Vader one got a bit. I mean, it was a bit more avant-garde. Is it more? Yeah, but forward-looking. So that's a bit harder to read. But this one, Little Francis Yu. I mean, the black background there. But yeah, the red visor. It really pops too. And I'm looking forward to just this. Yeah, an exciting, definitely probably 13 plus story. Not all ages, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is the kind of the epitome of comics. Like, I think you put it well when it's like you look more forward to these first, like at the visual level.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the prose and a lot of the writing is good, but it's not like dense. Again, it's not like you might not necessarily see this in like the Star Wars timeline books of like big moments in Boba Fett's life. These are just a collection of adventures, but what they excel at is they're able to really push the envelope with, like you said, the creativity and make this a comics first story. And sometimes we get bogged down in these comics, kind of like the Charles Soule stories from 2020 Star Wars, when we're dealing with courtroom drama. A lot of it was speech bubbles, just people kind of standing around. It was like, okay, cool, we could do this in a novel. But this is the polar opposite side of that, where it's like, oh, it's action, it's ultra violence, it's freaking Boba Fett just taking fools out, and just this is what you see in fan fiction. And I think you're gonna see this thing selling like freaking gangbusters, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and Boba Fett. Well, the McNiven. You can't see it here, but the McNiven cover. That must have the Bounty Hunters Alpha. Yeah. And that was definitely an appeal, and that's why Charles used this character, because he's so popular. He's been popular since he showed up in the film. One interesting thought, though, with Vader and then with Maul, I thought it would be another Force user, and this is an interesting twist to say, oh no, it's a bounty hunter, Boba Fett, which, now that I think about it, of course, now you talk about it, makes perfect sense. But yeah, it was. I'm curious. I would like to see, if there's a fourth one, to be another dark side user, probably not an Inquisitor, but somebody. But yeah, there's probably going to be other bounty hunters then, and of course Boba Fett is the correct one to start with. How about this? Jango Fett, black, white, and blue.
Ah, yeah.
How about that? So,
a lot of aliens that have blue blood getting splattered all over.
Yeah, there we go.
That's how you get by that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because the Marvel universe, like with Scarlet Witch, black, white, and blood, and Wolverine, black, white, and blood. Which now I'm curious to read those. I should look at those. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting. This is gonna be fun. 4 issues. Again, coming out September 17th. Looking forward to that. Any last thoughts on this one?
I'm looking forward to it. This is great. I'm looking forward to September, because it sounds like we're going to have a busy weeks there with multiple comics every week, because it sounds like between the Dark Horse stories that we'll still have going on, and then all these new inclusions to Marvel. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
There we go. Looking fun. Curious about what next publishing initiative is. Who knows what?
Yeah, you'll be the man on the street in San Diego. Hopefully they have a Lucasfilm panel, and I'm sure they're going to have some reveals there, hopefully.
Yeah, there'll be a pavilion too, so check that out. So what we do know is coming out next week. Speaking of publishing initiatives, High Republic Adventures 19, Legacy of Vader 5, Insider 232 should come out next week. We're going to take a break tonight. We're going to take the break next week, and we'll pick up at least Legacy of Vader eventually. And we're concerned about how much these other stories spoil Trials of the Jedi, so we'll play that by ear. Michael Siglain on Blue Sky, he said that these two don't. I'd be safe. It's only HRA 20, and then obviously the finale one shot will. But these two are safe, he said. But it's me. I'm so spoiler averse that might want to hold off. We'll see. Legacy Vader, that doesn't spoil Trials of the Jedi.
I'm looking for that.
Legacy Vader. You never know with Charles Soule. It's a Charles Soule. What am I doing here? It's a Charles Soule book, so he might. Probably not.
The idea that he's I know I'm already answering your question. I'm excited mostly for Legacy of Vader 5, believe it or not, because come on, he's attacking Naboo, this huge planet in the Star Wars galaxy. We don't know what happens to that planet. He could destroy it and raise it to the ground with that Star Destroyer, and it'd be fine, because it doesn't conflict to any movie content or anything. So we already know that Lucasfilm had some issues with him doing some certain things, and he got the okay to do it, and he was surprised. So I'm expecting big swings to see what happens with this planet, especially. So I got to give it to that.
Yeah. That run's going so great. Charles, he's now at the top of his game again. from what I can see.
Oh, after this novel,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable what he can do with prose. I mean, we talk about how good he is with the comics, but when it comes to prose, as somebody that doesn't normally write that much of it, it's like he's been holding back for all these years. That it's like, get this guy to do more books now after Trials.
I mean, this is his 5th novel, Trials of the Jedi. Like he's written prose novels.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, mostly does comics. But yeah, 5th novel. Yeah, I think it's the 5th novel. Yeah, definitely looking forward to Legacy of Vader. We will have Joel. We're going to probably do that one July 9th. And then we'll see. Maybe I'll bite the bullet with these two. We'll see. In 2 weeks' time.
Well, I can simply tell you, like, oh yeah, it's safe to read these. There's
you'll-
certain events that happen in Trials that might intersect with these, so that's why I was like, oh crap, wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. So you'll be my eyes and ears on the Jedi Council for this. All right. So yeah, that's next week. We'll take a break, but that does it for this week. Chris, thanks again for coming on. Thanks to Marty for getting the thumbnail up, lickety split.
Oh,
yeah. And good call on saying, let's just go for it. With the episode. Where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me over at Star Raptor on YouTube. I put up my long thoughts on Nintendo Switch 2 actually. So I have me talking about unboxing it, that I have me talking about games, a lot of footage on there. So had a good time making that video, put it out about a week ago. And you can also find me doing tricks on my skateboard on Twitter, twitter.com/StarRaptor, and talking about Nintendo games, different things over there as well. Posting little Mario videos and stuff like that as well in there. So yeah, you can find me over at those places. And until then, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yeah, there we go. You can find us, Joel and me, at Iron Cannon. This Monday, we are talking about the Death Star, picking up a conversation I had with Ash a few months ago. So yeah, on 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Underworld YouTube channel. This past Monday, Dom was in the seat talking about the Thrawn trilogy from the 90s. So check that out as well. Yeah, you can follow us on Blue Sky at Iron Cannon. Follow my personals, Instagram, MNEUG1138 and beaches.foodie. Also Threads and Blue Sky, MNEUG1138. And still in the Bird app at NEUG45, trying to figure out my San Diego Comic-Con plans, among other things. Yeah, and then, of course, again, on the Iron Cannon podcast, bring this guy back up. Here we go. Yeah, next week. These are coming out, so go check your local comic book shop to pick those up. Pick up back issues if you need to pick up back issues. This Insider 332, and that's the last issue of this run. Lydia Kang's short story run. HRA 19 is the second last issue of Daniel Jose Holder's run. Legacy of Vader is the 5th issue of whatever, however long that one is. So looking forward to that, definitely. But yeah, until 2 weeks from now, happy reading.